you're going to eventually get wiped out.
Some people will learn the hard way. The older I get, the more I believe in psychohistory. I think it's a natural evolution, similar to our nation-state work. There's going to be these structures no matter what we do.
They can coexist for a time. You're trading your sovereignty to the other system to get an interest rate.
If things get bad, people will learn. Sadly, people have very short memories. Remember the trucker protests and freezing bank accounts?
That one drives me insane. Like, that was just a couple years ago, and it's just business as usual. Like, nobody cares.
You're being spied on now. You already live there. You have to get your life out of there. Satoshi could be walking among us right now. Nobody knows it. So you have to have privacy.
People will find Bitcoin when they deserve to find Bitcoin at the price that Bitcoin is at that time. And this is why I think we're really early. It's not easy.
One of the things that we're really circling around right now that I completely agree with is the idea of Bitcoin is and used as money, right? Not necessarily a digital asset or something different, but actually as money. And so, Samson, starting with you, I'm kind of curious. Sorry, I had Ben McKenzie still in my brain. Jeff had mentioned earlier talking about yields and other things as well too. Do you have any concerns about, let's say, securitized Bitcoin financial products as a centralizing or capture mechanism for Bitcoin? And no is a completely fine answer. I'm just curious your outlook on it.
I'm not too worried about it. I think some Bitcoiners are, but I think it's a natural evolution. Similar to our nation-state work, we get some criticism from Bitcoiners saying, why are you helping governments try to get Bitcoin, right? But anything that is valuable, a government will want. You know, if it's not Bitcoin, it would be bottle caps, right? If it wasn't bottle caps, it'd be something else, because governments don't really create value, they extract value. And I think there's going to be these structures no matter what we do. There's going to be ETFs no matter what we do. But I think, you know, people will have to learn, some people will learn the hard way that if you use it in this centralized system, it's not really yours. And you can keep it as a bearer instrument. And all of us, all the builders, we are building things that will make it easier and easier for them to keep it bearer. But like Jeff is saying, if things get bad, people will learn. Sadly, people have very short memories. I think if you ask a Canadian on the street, you know, remember the trucker protests and freezing bank accounts? I bet you they've forgotten the memory.
Isn't that wild? Sorry, I had to jump in there. That one drives me insane. Like, that was just a couple years ago, and it's just business as usual. Like, nobody cares. Nobody remembers what happened. Sorry, Samson. It blows my mind still.
I personally do.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I'm not alone.
You better. Yeah.
Please, Samson, continue.
But I mean, these are the masses, right? This is the mid curve. These are the average people, and average people will do average things. They'll have average memory spans. They'll have average attention spans. I mean, you know, people were panicking like crazy about oil and Hormuz, and now it's like, yeah, well, go ask someone, like, what's happening now? They won't know because it's not being fed to them in the media anymore or through the algo. So, you know, people will find Bitcoin when they deserve to find Bitcoin at the price that Bitcoin is at that time. But it's difficult to force change and to force understanding. You have to really have been burned or be very cognizant of the world to really understand things ahead of time.
Jeff, do you have a response? What's your view on the risk?
This has to look like this because it has to go through all of our biases and our frameworks of what the world used to look like, which was always a lie. We thought it was a free market, wasn't a free market. We thought it was, and so it was always a terrible lie, a centralizing lie, that we would go to war to reset and global conflict to reset and then start again and believe in the fairy tale. And do it again because people forget. And this has been the pattern of throughout history. So with that pattern throughout history, if you understand human nature, you understand all of these things it just is. For Bitcoin to withstand all of these, whether they're attacks, whether they're centralizing, whether they're ETFs, you've given your Bitcoin to an ETF instead of, you think you have Bitcoin and you have a paper claim on Bitcoin, you're going to eventually get wiped out, right? At some point, because they cannot coexist on the long term, because one system gains its strength through inflation, which is centralizing, and one through resilience to that, to neutral currency, which allows productivity to flow to the world. So these two systems they can coexist for a time, but they can only coexist for a time by if you send, so you're trading your sovereignty to the other system to get an interest rate.
I'll just add this. The older I get, the more I believe in psychohistory.
No, fair enough.
Peptides have exploded over the last year. Search interest just hit an all-time high, and people are searching peptides more than AI right now. One company I actually trust in the space is Real Peptides, and here's what I've been running. BPC 157 was the biggest standout for recovery. Tessa and Ipamorelin helped me put on the most size I've ever had. Trinity X, a GLP-3, was incredibly potent for appetite control, and DSIP has become my go-to for sleep when I need a reset. Sourcing matters a lot, and Real Peptides is research use only, third-party tested, and even endotoxin tested, which few do. So hit realpeptides.co or scan the QR code on the screen and use code BTC Sessions for 40% off your first purchase. One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Minds. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Minds, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantminds.com/sessions.
Let's take an optimistic turn for a second then too. So we talked about reclaiming our agency. Jeff, you mentioned running a node, but maybe Samson, I'll start with you. If someone wanted to reclaim their agency, if they want to get out of the system, what things would you recommend to them? What direction would you point them in? And I'll even tee you up a little bit. The Dolphin card was one of my favorite things. If we maybe could get that back at some point in time, and some Lightning addresses for Aqua Wallet would be very handy too.
It's coming. The cards, it's difficult.
So
we learned
tricky.
a lot. We learned a lot through that process, and they're all kind of doing creative things. We're just looking for the best, most reliable creative thing out there. But it's difficult. If you're running it over a MasterCard and Visa rails, then eventually if the program gets big enough, there's a likelihood that it could get shut down, right? It depends on jurisdictional arbitrage and a number of factors. So we are looking. Like, we know people loved it, and we loved our partner for that one, and unfortunately it didn't work. But it's hard to find a reliable one that will scale. Maybe it won't scale. Maybe we'll just have to replace it every few years with the new provider. But yeah, I think to answer your question, though, to direct them, I would send them to a mobile wallet. That's the easiest way. The barrier and the hurdles to get to a full node running on your own computer or your node in a box, that's very far away. But if you point them to any mobile wallet, Aqua, I'm partial to that, or Blockstream app or Bull Bitcoin, this is a good starting place. They can get a taste for what it's like to transact freely without having anyone block you or control you or permission you or gatekeep you. And then I think from there, eventually you want to migrate to a hardware wallet, paired with your mobile phone. And then eventually you want to validate yourself. But that's a long, long road. And this is why I think we're really early. People that have reached this level of Bitcoin understanding and the ability to be this sovereign, to run your own node, is not easy. And I think we'll be still years away for the majority of the population to get to that point. But we will get to that point. I'm confident in that.
Yeah, I agree with what Samson's saying. My view here is look at proof of work, just like the network works. You can see in people. So Nathan, you're working at BTC Sessions, and what you guys are doing to provide proof of work to a whole bunch of people. I always point people to your work. Because it's a cascade of knowledge, and if you were ever wrong, you would admit you were wrong and then make it right. There's inside a landscape of people that are doing the exact opposite. Flavor of the day, flavor of the day, flavor of the day, flavor of the day. And so Bitcoiners have kind of been resilient, and you can see the people who are saying the same thing and they've been right over and over and over again. And so that's where you want to learn. You want to take signals from people that have had an integrity through the whole thing, and showing you how to start, how to buy, how to self-custody, how to start. And your website, your YouTube Sessions and BTC Sessions does a really good job of a whole bunch of free content for people. But then Samson and this entire network of these builders, these incredible builders, they won't all be right. They're not all the businesses will succeed, but they'll point the way to what is success, and that'll just keep on emerging, which is what's happening.
Jeff, are there any tools that in particular that have your attention right now? I know we've talked previously, and I think it's worth highlighting too, that like the idea that you need it to be Bitcoin to remain secure, decentralized, and private. And so I think that's a wonderful one to highlight. Is there anything that you think is worth mentioning in that vein, or anything else that's exciting for you?
Yeah, I think in that vein, Fedi is still early, but it's something that you could take action on right now. You could set up your own federation, and that means your communications and your money are private. And I think it's going to be, like, if you think Bill C-22 in Canada and what's happening in the UK, I would do that yesterday, right? It's so critical. That means not just your communications are private, but your communications with anybody who's added to your federation are also private. Your money transfer is private, and it already isn't. You're being spied on now. The money control is it. And so it's really important that people wonder why they all of a sudden see an ad for the thing they were talking about.
Yeah.
Right. You already live there, right? You have to get your life out of there. And so some of these tools are going to be really important to be able to do that. Obi said this thing, and I think it was really interesting. How do you gain freedom? Either through control, you're bigger, mightier, have more money than everybody else, and you're above the law, or privacy. Satoshi could be walking among us right now. Nobody knows him. So you have to have privacy. You have privacy. You have you have freedom of expression. You have everything you want. So you have to. So these tools are going to become increasingly important in the world we're moving into.
I completely agree, Jeff. What's frustrating for me is like there is a real need for privacy, and it's been twisted by the altcoin promoters and
Totally.
trying to push alt privacy coins again.
Totally, a centralized coin.
Yeah, it's completely. It's like there is a real need more now than ever, and then they're twisting it to pump their own bags. It's just really frustrating watching that play out again and again.
So the wild thing about this, and even when we don't do ourselves any favors, because this already exists on top of Bitcoin, right? It already exists, and you don't need another coin to do it. It's native to the thing, and people could start tomorrow, and they can do it. So instead we're fighting the meme coins and all this nonsense over here when you could just go build, right? Go build on the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.